Do you enjoy VR? Have you ever tried it out? And if so, did you like it? See, I'm not going to lie here. I'm going to tell you that I absolutely love VR. Virtual reality is absolutely a blast. It's incredibly immersive, and it gives you like just the feeling of being inside of a game. And after all, that's the whole point. So I have a question to ask. Why aren't VR headsets selling? In fact, why are the sales falling off? Is it a disconnect between a product and a consumer? Or is there something else there? Let's dive in and take a look. Here we go. Now, before we get started, can I ask you a simple favor? Just go ahead and hit that like button right here. I'm sure you're going to enjoy this video, and you can always rethink your decision before you leave. Also, double check to make sure you're subscribed. And if you're new here and this is your first time, go ahead and subscribe anyway. Oh, and turn on the notifications so that you don't miss this video. Well, I guess you wouldn't have missed this video. Future videos or live streams or anything in between, including shorts. If you do so, it'll really help. I would love to see this channel grow, and I believe my editor would like that too. Now, let's get started from here with a particular article from Variety's VIP. And I use Variety VIP articles pretty regularly, whether or not they're found in the VIP section or maybe over on Yahoo or some other locations where they actually put their media. They have some really great numbers and maybe not the best analysis in the world, but they start as a good basis for a whole lot of videos. And we're going to start where they start in the article, which is this. Sales of headsets overall actually fell off quite considerably in 2022. Despite the huge hype and everything that you've heard surrounding the concept of a metaverse, the total number of headsets that are being shipped and being purchased is just falling. Now, if you've been here a while, you've probably already heard my thoughts on the so-called metaverse already. But for those of you who are newer here and maybe don't want to go back and look at the old catalog of videos, here's my thoughts, and I'll recap. The concept of the metaverse will not be consistent with what Mark Zuckerberg has been telling everybody. I just can't see that happening. He can't even get his own people to use the thing that he's developing with any consistency at all, if at all. And I think they were actually paying people on top of their regular pay to go in and use it. And I think it's going to be more like a old-fashioned BBS system that we used way back in the early beginnings of the internet. So you'll probably have to subscribe to these worlds, these BBSs, individually, kind of like you do a streaming service. And that's the only way that you're going to enjoy these environments, because they might be loosely linked together and you may be able to pass from one to another, and maybe some won't be require a payment, a subscription, whatever. But in order for these things to be maintained and to cover the incredible overhead that's going to be required to keep all of this stuff running, I have a feeling there's going to be a subscription model in place. I just don't think there's any way around that. But let's return to the sales conversation for the VR headsets. And I'm just going to say this. They sold, or I should say shipped, which also is the equivalent of sold right now. If you've ever been in an electronics store, there's really not much of a selection of anything because they sell through what they've got because, well, they've had supply chain issues. But let's just say that they actually shipped less than 10 million units in 2022. Those are not good numbers. And again, you can actually point to the supply chain issues. I mean, they were real. You can actually point to the price point, right? Just the cost of one of these things. And there are some other factors in there that may exist, but those two factors are the things I think most people are bumping up against. In fact, I'd say it's probably fair to say that until prices drop, VR is really is niche. These prices need to come down considerably, or else it's basically just a high-end gamer fad. You just don't have a lot of people that are going to adopt it. Now, of the major manufacturers that are involved in the headsets and that are shipping them out right now, Meta dominates this field entirely. Zuckerberg sells about 84% of the total headsets in the market. So sorry, you're just stuck with that product. ByteDance is selling about 7.4% of the total market, and everybody else involved, including HTC, which is one of my personal favorites, Well, they're checking in under 2%. A lot of these sales clearly seem to be driven by price point, and unfortunately, Meta's got a device with a low enough price point at $400 that everybody's interested in it. Now, Sony will be getting back into the VR game here in February of 2023. So depending upon when you see this video, you may already be able to buy their new PlayStation VR 2. It's going to cost you $550. So here in the US, it's pretty spendy. And there's a catch, of course, with that one, which is you're going to need to have a PS5 as well. And to make that setup complete nowadays with the recent Sony bump in prices, you're going to be investing over $1,000 before you can even buy your favorite game, which, you know, that's going to cost you some money too. Now, Meta's Quest 2 is selling for a bit less, as I mentioned. It's only $400 US, and that is a per headset price. And until recently, that actually also required you to have a Facebook account, but they finally came to their senses and dropped that requirement. But you still have to have a Horizon profile, and it's very similar to like having an Instagram account with the following and all that other stuff to connect with your friends. Yeah. This is obviously the cheaper option unless you step up to their new Quest Pro headset, and that's going to cost you about $1,500. Again, that's a high-end cost for a very niche item. And it's kind of geared towards working in the virtual world with the ability to, you know, check into pro stuff like Microsoft 365, which includes obviously spreadsheets and all the other work products. I guess if it's not already active, you're going to be able to integrate it with your Game Pass. So you can do a little bit of work and a little bit of play with that headset, but $1,500 is a lot of money to ask people to spend. And the only new thing that is going to be heading our way as far as the headsets are concerned will be Apple's mixed AR VR reality system. And it's supposedly going to be called Reality Pro. And maybe that is the name, I don't know. But that's projected to be officially announced and arriving in the spring of this year, which, again, if you're watching this video at a different time, spring of 2023. With some speculation there, you will actually also be able to interact directly with your iDevices. So if you're into the Apple thing, hey, this is your bread and butter. It's going to be expensive. It's expected to be very pricey. I would imagine that they will offer their same kind of pay-as-you-go plan like they do with a lot of their iPhones. So again, if you're an Apple person and you want to pay for this outright, start saving your pennies. None of these headsets are really likely to set any of the markets on fire. Again, price points are pretty steep, and you have some really challenging economic circumstances that are going to be with us throughout 2023. So it's going to be a little more grim for everybody, and I'm sure everybody recognizes that this is beyond a luxury item. It's very, as I mentioned before, niche. And outside of niche gamers, people that are actually going to be working with this, which will be few and far between, and some early adopters, people like me who like just new tech, I wouldn't expect headset sales to pick up. In fact, they will probably likely continue to fall off even more this year. But I guess we'll see, and I'm perfectly fine being wrong. I would like to see more people engaged in this, at least for the people who would enjoy it. And of course, I'm curious what you think. Are you going to be one of the people out there buying one of these new AR or VR headset options? Are you going to stick with the classic ones? Have you ever done this before? Have you ever used one of these headsets? Because they can be a little intimidating to some people. Are you waiting for something cheaper to get invested in the AR and VR stuff, or are you already regularly diving into virtual worlds? I'm just really curious, and feel free to leave those comments down below, and let's see if we can drive the algorithm a little with some conversation, because that kind of engagement actually does push the stats up for the video and puts it in front of more eyeballs, as does sharing. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and hit the share button down below and share this video out on your socials, because it'll really help the channel grow. And I really want the channel to grow. I would like to be somewhere around 10K, I hope, in the middle to end of the summer of this year. That would be amazing. Be sure to support other independent creators here in our sphere. There's a lot of people talking about a lot of different things from a completely different perspective than what you'll get from the mainstream. And let's face it, most of the platforms right now are pushing a lot of mainstream stuff at you, which, lacks any kind of divergent thought. With that, I'll also need to end the video saying this. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye. And don't forget to check out my Rumble at rumble.com/CultureCasino.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.